once again, thank you all so much for joining us today. So today we're going to be discussing the UN World Environment Day 2021, and I'm joined today by Shaylin. My name is Jocelyn Whalen, pronouns she, her, and I am the Resource Center Facilitator here at the Kawartha World Issues Center. As you can see, I am coming to you live from the Resource Center, and I have the wonderful Sustainable Development Goals behind me, which is also a UN program and initiative. So, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get started. Shay, would you like to start us off?
Yes, Anin, hello everyone. Shaylin Wabagijik Indigenakas, Nanode was a win to Miskaming Donjba, Atik and Dodem, Minjikning and Donjba, Minwa no Gojuanan Ndida. So I said in my language, Anishinaabe Mawin, that my name is Shaylin Wabagijik. My family is from Temiskaming First Nation, Caribou Clan, and I'm from Rama First Nation. Well, I grew up in Rama First Nation, and I live in Nogojiwanong, Peterborough. So I'm the Program and Outreach Coordinator at the Kawartha World Issues Center, and I'm really pleased to be joining you today to talk about World Environment Day. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that we're situated on the traditional territory. My apologies, I'm right beside a busy road. We're situated on the territory of the Michisagi Anishinaabe, and this is Treaty 20 and Williams Treaty area. And I'm so grateful for the Williams Treaty's First Nations for their care for and teachings about the land and their enduring presence here and forever stewarding this land in a good way. And for welcoming me into this community. I feel so grateful for this community here and for the lands and waters that give us life every day. So also to honor the Indigenous History Month and the 215 children that have been found in Kamloops, BC, I would like us to take a moment together of silence to honor the Indigenous children. Chimigwech. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Shay.
My notification came up. I've been spending too much time on Instagram. Okay.
I know, it was going off on my phone too. Thank you so much for those beautiful words, Shay.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's get started. So World Environment Day offers a global platform for inspiring positive change. This year's theme is ecological restoration because we are the generation that can and must make peace with nature. For so long, we have been taking the environment for granted, trying to change and control nature. But we need to collectively learn how to align with nature. So to me, World Environment Day is about environmental justice, to stop abusing the lands and waters which give us life. And as a human race, we need to recreate, and renew our relationships with the waters and lands. Also, so we can restore it, but we need to protect it so that we don't have to restore it. I also see social justice as inseparable from environmental justice because what has been done and continues to happen to Indigenous peoples around the world through colonization has also been done to the land. It's inextricably linked. So World Environment Day on June 5th, tomorrow, has also launched the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So that's from 2021 to 2030. So this decade aims to prevent, halt, and reverse the degradation of ecosystems on every continent and in every ocean. And it will only succeed if everyone plays our part. Only with healthy ecosystems can we enhance people's livelihoods, counteract climate change, and stop the collapse of biodiversity. We must take action now because the science is clear. We don't have another 10 years. Over to you, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much, Shay. So why is it important to have these conversations? Every 3 seconds, the world loses enough forests to cover a football pitch. And over the last century, we have destroyed half of our wetlands. Here in Ontario, that's quite evident. As much as 50% of our coral reefs have already been lost, and up to 90% of coral reefs could be lost by 2050, even if global warming is limited to an increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius. You can learn more about this day, World Environment Day, and the Decade of Action by searching the United Nations World Environment Day webpage. There's some great resources on that webpage. At Quick, we know that amazing groups and people just like us all over the world are making a difference. And today we want to take about 30 minutes to speak about local projects happening for the environment and to hear from you in the comments about what you're doing for World Environment Day tomorrow. And I'll pass it back to Shay.
Yeah, so we're going to get us started with a few local initiatives on ecological restoration and just the environment in general. So firstly, one of our partners, Green Up, many of you might have heard of them. They're doing really amazing projects, and one of them is Depave Paradise. Depave Paradise is a project with Green Communities Canada where volunteers and neighborhoods have been removing unwanted pavement and planting gardens filled with native species in their place. So Depave Paradise projects make permanent positive changes to neighborhoods and encourages others to act together to restore their green spaces. Another local example of amazing restoration in Peterborough area is Harper Park. So you might have heard of this. It's just off the Parkway. So it's in a busy industrial area. But in the fall of 2011, Trent students explored the area for a project and wrote a report. And the students involved served as a foundation for a stewardship group that has since grown through community support, training, and additional volunteers. The Harper Park Stewardship Committee was created as a subcommittee of the Peterborough Field Naturalists. And the Stewardship Committee is the protection and restoration of Harper Park and their forested uplands, their wetlands, and the Coldwater Stream that runs through there. So this is a wildlife corridor, and they serve to protect, conserve, restore, and enhance the diverse environment there, and promote nature-based education and also just spiritual enjoyment of the area. I really have to go and visit. I haven't yet, unfortunately. Another national example of great environmental stewardship is, of course, the Indigenous Guardians. So this is championed by the Indigenous Leadership Initiative, so Indigenous Guardians is basically a modern take on the ancient tradition of caring for the land. So across Canada, there are 30 Indigenous Guardians programs working to conserve and manage their lands. They monitor wildlife, patrol protected areas, and reduce the impacts of climate change. So in the process, they honor their cultural traditions and train the next generation of leaders. This delivers major social and environmental benefits and creates transformational change within communities. This change is built on cultural pride, expert knowledge, and expression of nationhood. Indigenous nations really honor the cultural responsibility to care for the lands and waters. And this is an amazing movement that you can support. Also, one last example of a national environmental protection example is the Indigenous Protected and Conserved Areas designation. So this is a land designation where Indigenous peoples, usually we're only just confined to the reservations, which is only about 2% of Canada's land mass, but Indigenous Protected and Conserved Areas, or IPCAs for short, is a way for Indigenous peoples to identify the land on their traditional territories, which is important to them, and they can identify it as an IPCA, and so that they can lead the conservation efforts. It's in partnership with Western science, but also with Indigenous knowledge and science. So they are supported through the Conservation Through Reconciliation Partnership, which is based out of Guelph. That's a 7-year project. So they're trying to get more IPCAs in Ontario and around the country. And also Ontario Nature is really supporting that work. So those are really great initiatives that you can check out. So I will pass it over to Jocelyn for some more really cool things happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaylin. Very important initiatives and programs. So I'd like to mention another few local initiatives and programs. So here in Nogo-Jiwonong, more specifically on Trent University's land, and within this institution, is Trent University Society of Ecological Restoration. So as some of you know, the Quick Resource Center is located in Trent University, and this is an important group that they focus on educational, vocational, and volunteer opportunities in restoration ecology at Trent University and in the local community. This is an international organization, and we have a chapter here at Trent. Some of their most well-known projects is the Wetland Project in their nursery. Even during the pandemic, they've done some really great virtual events and remote events, including birdhouse building and seed propagation workshop events. Very important. They also run courses for professional development for students and community members alike, including the Rain Garden Masterclass. So if you haven't checked out Trent University Society of Ecological Restoration, I definitely suggest doing that if you'd like. Another organization that I'd like to mention is the Ontario Federations of Anglers and Hunters, and more specifically, their Lake Ontario Atlantic Salmon Restoration Program, also known as the Bring Back the Salmon program. So when I was getting involved in environmental science, as an environmental scientist, this is one of the first opportunities that I had in this field was with this program. And it really catapulted me into my field that I've been working in for 10 years, and also as an environmental educator. So this program focuses on fish production and stocking, as well as tree planting in riparian areas to stabilize banks and decrease sedimentation and water temperatures. Debris management to enhance and restore natural flows, clean substrate, and enhance habitat for adult and juvenile fish. Bank stabilization projects to minimize erosion and sedimentation of spawning and nurturing areas. Wetland protection to ensure high quality and quantity of water. Cattle fencing and alternate watering systems to prevent riparian grazing, erosion, and in-stream habitat destruction. And modification, bypass, or removal of online dams and ponds to reestablish natural channels, decrease stream temperatures, and allow fish passage. They also have a large focus on outreach and education. One of their most well-known programs is the Classroom Hatchery program, which is really great. They bring in salmon fry, and students in classrooms will raise them until they're ready and rear them until they're ready to be released into streams and local waterways. It's an incredible program, really great learning experience for students of all ages. And they also focus heavily on research and monitoring. And the last organization that I'm going to mention here for now, although I could go on and on about tons of great initiatives and programs, is the Elderville Black Oak Savanna. This is an amazing example of co-management model between conservation authorities and Elderville First Nation. Elderville Black Oak Savanna uses both strengths from Indigenous knowledge, science, and Western science. They focus, so some of the projects that they do, or some of the methods that they use, I should say, are traditional burnings and seed savings in these very rare ecosystems. It is the largest intact tract of native grassland in central Ontario. It was an old agricultural field filled with corn and soy, and they've transformed it into a thriving grassland restoration site with an abundance of plant and animal species. It's such a great organization. They also focus on stream and creek restoration and Gitagon, which is the Anishinaabemowin word for garden. So the Gittagon at the Black Oak Savannah acts as an interpretive garden and hosts various educational and outreach groups throughout the years. They also do turtle stewardship on Rice Lake, and they have a native plant nursery. Throughout the years, Elderville's Black Oak Savannah has worked closely with the local community to gather traditional ecological knowledge as it relates to the changing climate. The community knowledge gathered has been used to build and shape initiatives for the current climate change mitigation project initiative. So thank you so much, Elderville Black Oak Savannah, for all the work that you do. And thank you to all of these organizations and initiatives, and those that we haven't mentioned as well, for all of the wonderful work that you do. I am going to pass it back to Shay.
Chimigwech, thank you so much, Jocelyn. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed our highlights of these amazing organizations. So we want to invite you, we want to hear from you. We want to open the floor, open the comments to share what you're doing in your community for World Environment Day. I invite you to put your answer in the comments, or just make a post and hashtag like World Environment Day, Generation Restoration. Also tag us, because we want to see what you've been doing to help protect the environment, and for the decade of ecosystem restoration and World Environment Day. Thank you, Juan. I see you in the chat. Yeah, so we would love to hear what you have been doing to help protect the environment, because we know we're so passionate about these issues and this this initiative. So we want to see who else is as well. So thank you so much. I also have a few thoughts about what folks can do, what I'm going to be doing. You know, I'm doing this today. You know, outreach and education is so important for these issues. So that's the first thing you can do, is educate yourself and your families. So educating and engaging, especially young people, about these issues is such an important part of the work towards building a more sustainable future, because the children and the youth are our future. You can also take individual actions, of course. So rethink your consumption habits, you know, buy some reusable bags to bring to the grocery store, specifically the produce bags, because they're usually not recyclable, those kinds of things. Just making little changes can make a really big difference. Also, more individually, you can spend time outdoors. So for me, this is huge in my environmental activism work, is, you know, fulfilling that spiritual aspect of being out there on the land. It's really healing. And when you try and heal the land will heal you back. So spend time outdoors, definitely connect with the lands and waters. You can also pray for the waters and the land. That's what Indigenous peoples do all the time, and that's what we've been doing. Just giving thanks and gratitude for all that we've been given every single day is a really great way to build that relationship with the environment, which is so important for doing this work. Another thing you can do, you can volunteer with environmental organizations if you have the time. If you don't have the time and you have a little bit of spare money, you can donate to these organizations. Some of the organizations we mentioned, that would be amazing if you have the means. Or you can also create your own environmental action. So I love, you know, taking my little sisters out and going to clean up the shoreline around where we live. Yeah, just picking up garbage, of course, is the main example I can think of right now. But whatever environmental action speaks to you, you can organize something yourself with your friends or your family. Of course, in your bubble, safe COVID, yeah. Also, attend events and local initiatives. So like this one, you know, learn about different the actions that are happening in your community. There's a lot of really amazing things going on right now. Of course, most of them are online, but there's a lot of resources, especially for this UN World Environment Day and decade on ecological restoration. So you can go to the UN website and find events happening all across the country. So if you go to worldenvironmentday.global, there you can subscribe to their newsletter. You can play games. You can join events. There's so many amazing events happening. And there's also amazing resources on there for you to check out. Yeah, so that's all I have for you. I see somebody in the comment, Ebony. Oh, hi, beautiful. I miss you. Yes, I said IPCA. So that's an Indigenous Protected and Conserved Area. It's a land designation. So it's not technically an organization, but there are really amazing organizations doing that work. And one of them is called Conservation Through Reconciliation Partnership. And I can put that in the chat right now. And I'll hand it back over to you, Jocelyn. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Shay. Those are wonderful actions that I think most of us can do in our community. So great to get those ideas out there and to connect in that way. So I'm just going to say a few closing words, and then I'll pass it back over to Shay. So I was reading Braiding Sweetgrass yesterday, and I just happened to be on the chapter of the Honorable Harvest, page 195. And if you are not familiar with the book Braiding Sweetgrass, it's written by Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it's a great book that connects a lot of the topics that we've been talking today with Indigenous knowledge and Western science and restoration and environmental protection. So I'm just going to read quickly a quote that I saw yesterday. I just thought it was so fitting for this event, especially the theme of UN World Environment Day this year being Generation Restoration. So I'm just going to read that quote quickly. We need acts of restoration, not only for polluted waters and degraded lands, but also for our relationship to the world. We need to restore honor to the way we live, so that when we walk through the world, we don't have to avert our eyes with shame, so that we can hold our heads up high and receive the respectful acknowledgement of the rest of the earth's beings. So I encourage you today, every day, this weekend, if you get a chance, take your shoes off, go walk outside in a safe space, be outdoors, connect to the trees, connect to the land, and give thanks. Shay, I'm going to pass it to you for your closing words. Thank you so much.
Miigwech, Jocelyn. That was a really beautiful quote, and I'm really glad you brought it into our Instagram live today. Yeah, I just feel so much gratitude for the First Peoples, specifically the Anishinaabeg. I'm Algonquin Anishinaabeg, and I just have to thank my ancestors and all of the people on Turtle Island who have been doing this work for so long, and I stand on their shoulders, and I'm taking up that torch that they are passing to us in wanting to protect and live with the land in a good way. And we call Mother Earth Shkokmekwe, and that is our relationship to the earth. It's like our relationship to our mother because of how deeply we respect and honor her for giving us life. So I want to say Chimigwech to the earth for allowing us to be here and to live here and love here. And I also want to say Chimigwech to Nokmis because that is the grandmother moon, we call her. She controls the tides of the waters here on this land. Nibi is the word for water, and water is the lifeblood, and so she helps control the waters on this land. And I want to say Chimigwech to Mishomis Gizis, grandfather's son, for giving us warmth and light and just all of the life here. And I'm so thankful for all of the plant beings and the insect beings, the fish, the fish in the water, and the birds in the sky, and the medicines, and all of those things that need to be here so that we can be here. We view ourselves as equal to each and every species that is on this land, because without them, we wouldn't be here either. So I just want to acknowledge the spirit of that land and the water, and of Shkokmekwe, of Mother Earth, because that, we're here because of that. So on World Environment Day, that's how I want to honor it. So with that many words, Chumigwech everyone for tuning in to our first Instagram live. It was so fun. I hope we get to do this more often. Yes.
I think
I hope you
we
all
should.
have
It was really fun.
Definitely. So yeah, feel free, please make your posts, tag us, let us know what you're doing for World Environment Day. We would love to see what you're up to.
Yeah, and this will be recorded and posted so that you can review it and get connected with some of those organizations that we mentioned. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Shay, for your beautiful words, and everybody take care and enjoy your UN World Environment Day.
Chumigwech, have a great weekend, everyone. Bamapi, see you later.
Bye.